straight. We're not gonna talk one way. So I welcome discussion. I welcome your inputs as well as we go along. So let's get started with scientific research. When we talk about publications, so it doesn't start with publication. It starts with something else first, right? So you have to first understand the field. What is scientific research? So publication, writing is only a part of the process, a part of a bigger picture. So when you start your life as a student, MSc or PhD, you're going into this new life, I would say, which involves reading, experimenting, writing, and most of all, working hard and working smart. So before you come to your publication, before you come to your title, and generating your experiments and planning your experimental design, analysis of your data and everything, it starts with reading first. So that's why when I talk about research process, normally you are given a couple of months after your registration to do reading literature, right? Or literature review, we call it. So when you talk about literature review, it's not only about reading what others have done, but the most important part when you want to relate reading to publication is reading critically. So that means as you read, I know that if you just started research, you probably know nothing about the research yet. So reading and getting to know the field is the what I call the most important point at that particular stage. And then over time, you will notice that you will develop skills of reading critically. So as you read more and more and more and more and more papers, you'll start to notice that, okay, these papers have published this, but it doesn't have this. On the other hand, this guy has published this, but he lacks this. So the moment you start seeing those, so you can say that you are now have critical skill of analyzing what is between the line. Okay, I'm going to go through later on in more detail, but the typical process is you start with reading a couple of months, and then over time you will notice that you will notice what is lacking in certain publications, and then you'll start noticing what is the research gap available for you to embark on. So that will then lead to problem statement, and then sound experimental design, and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to cover that later on. So then when you know your title, your area that you want to work on, so then comes experimenting. So you start doing your research, your experiments, running samples, doing characterizations and stuff. And then when you have some sound data, I would say, and then discussion with supervisors and stuff, so then you'll come to writing. And writing is a continuous process. I'm going to go through later on. But the most important of all, I would say, in this scientific research, you need to be working very, very hard. And then over time, you will work, you'll start to have capabilities to work smart. So I know for me, I think you always need to start with working hard. And then over time, when you have the skills, the capabilities, the wisdom you start to develop, then you will start to work smart, and then you know how to manage things more orderly, I would say. Okay. So what makes a good research? So can anyone tell me what makes a good research? So let's do some sharing here before we continue. What do you think makes a good research? You can share anything you think are the points. You can type in the chat box. I'll read through. You can also turn on your mic and say something, no problem. So what do you think makes a good research before you come to publication? Anyone? Come on, anyone? So let me see the names here. Lots of data, yeah, lots of data. What do you think? Lots of data? Lots of data is, I think, yeah, one step to start with. You need to have enough data, I would say. What else? Something new to the field. Great. Yes, something new to the field. Novelty. Okay, what else? Come on, write it down. I'll just read through. Maybe I missed something. I don't see I don't see the whole points here. I see few points popping up. Marketing the idea. Okay, marketing the idea. Okay, yep. If you're talking about commercialization, then marketing the idea. So it's always good to have your end in mind. So if you are working toward prototypes or products, product development in particular, then yeah, working towards marketing, you have that in mind is great. What else? Give me 2 more points.
Dr. Nasir, someone answered choose the objectives.
Yeah, choose the objective. All right, good. Good. Choose the right objective. Okay, what else? Any more? Okay, so let's see. Okay, quality sources. Yes, quality sources. You have to start with, I would say, the right literature. The way of showing results. Yes, result presentation. Good, Hanadi. Great. Okay, let's go through. So what makes a good research? This is not the whole points though. So you have got your points already, and those are correct. And this is among the points that makes a good research. So first one, you have to start with a well-defined problem statement. So oftenly I see postgraduate students, they start research without a clear problem statement. So you are not surprised, you won't be surprised to hear that you or your colleagues perhaps or others already second year, third year into their research, into their PhD, for example, still do not have a clear problem statement. So this is what I call, this is typical. This is typical, but it's not a good way to start your research. Clear articulation of goals. So somebody mentioned about goals there. So you need to have a clear goals of what do you want to do in your research. Either you're doing MSc or PhD, so you need to have a very a clear set of goals, right? And then set a clear scope, set boundaries. So you cannot be doing everything under the sky. So you only have 2 years, 3 years. So you need to have your boundaries clear, right? So that will define how are you going along your research journey, right? So that you don't just steer to the left, to the right, without you realizing it, right? So guided by problem, question, hypothesis. So you should be guided by problem, questions, hypothesis all the time. Okay, all the time. Novel ideas. So just now Imdad mentioned about novel ideas, new ideas to the field. So novel here means new ideas. So if you talk about PhD especially, so you need to contribute something new to the field, to the body of knowledge. You need to solve problem. What makes a good research? Research that can solve problem. You want to solve problem. So that's why we start with a clear problem statement that needs to be solved. Repeatable results. So if you run today, you get this set of results, and then you run again next week, you get something else, and then you run again next month, you get completely different stories, and then something's wrong with the experimental design or the nature of the experiment, right? So you need to produce repeatable result in order to be worthy of publication. Significant contribution to the field. Somebody mentioned about significant contribution to the field just now. And then what else? Publishable results, right? Publishable results. You want to publish your results, okay? So to be able to be published, there are certain criteria needed from the results. We're going to see later on. Okay, there are many more points, but these are among the points that makes a good research. So researcher itself, we haven't talked about the researchers ourselves. So we need to have ability to think clearly. So over time, you will notice that when you do research, when you read more and more papers, you run more and more experiments, you analyze more data, you try to discuss what is the difference between your data and previous data, your work and previous work, you will start to develop capabilities to think clearly. So you know how to distinguish A and B and C clearly. Then only you can, when your thinking is clear, your writing will be more clearer because it comes from the brain, right? After all. So you need to be more objective, good judgment. You cannot just stray any way you like. You need to be very clear, right? So if your paper is about this, then this is the scope of the paper. So this is what I'm going to do, and this is my set of results, and this is my set of discussion. So it will be more, what I call, you can relate more later on when it comes to dealing with reviewers' comment. Some comments from reviewers are really wild, some are really out of scope. So you need to be able to accommodate, entertain the comments wisely. So that requires objectivity from you, right? Creativity in doing the research, strong communication skills, right? Strong communication skills here mean verbal communication, presentation, going to conference, proposal defense, pre-viva, viva. That's what we're doing now. And not only limited to verbal communication, but also written communication in the form of your publication. Okay, so ability to work independently. So you know that your research is rather a lonely journey, even though you're working in a team. Each topic is unique in its own ways. So in that sense, it's quite it's quite demanding in terms of your capabilities to work independently. You also have to have abilities to work in a team, because you need to discuss over time. You need to join your group meeting over time, say monthly or bi-monthly or quarterly, to update. And then abilities to work in a team, collaboration, exchanging ideas, right? So those are among the crucial skills that you need to have. So now let's move on to scientific publications. So to get to know, to discover, to publish, this is the destiny of a scientist. So this is your destiny, this is my destiny, this is our destiny, right? Publication is part and parcel of the process. So why publish? So why do you think you have to publish? Can I hear some ideas? Why publish in the first place? Why bother? Anyone? Can turn on your mic. Sharing results. Great, sharing results. Okay, what else? I'll read what's coming up on my pop-up window. Maybe I don't see everything on the full screen now. So let me see if I have any other. Hold on here. To let others know what is our research. Okay, let me turn on the chat. I didn't turn on chat, no. Okay, what else? What else? Make work more discoverable. Yep. You want to make your work more visible to others. What else? Why publish? So you as a student, why publish? You want to graduate, right? To graduate, yes. So that's one of the facts that you cannot deny. Graduation requirement. Okay, to graduate, okay, that Sakina said, improve capabilities to establish, contribute new knowledge and stuff. Okay, good. So let's see. Generate new knowledge. Why publish? You want to generate new knowledge. You want to contribute your new knowledge to the existing body of knowledge, especially if you're talking about PhD. You want to break the boundaries of human knowledge. You want to contribute something new that is not known before. So that's why it's called a PhD, right? There's no new knowledge, no PhD. Graduation, of course, so you need to publish 2 papers for PhD and 1 for MSc research. So improve track record over time. You want to be known by others in doing this research with good results, with good capabilities. Increase impact and visibility of research. You want your work to reach a broader audience. Otherwise, it'll just stay in the lab within you, within yourself, within your group, within your friends, and that's all, right? So you want it to reach outside, to the US, to the UK, to Japan, China, and others, international. Increase chances for promotion, winning research grant in the future, collaboration, and whatnot. Okay. So you want to get a paper published. Well, this one might look familiar to you. It's not easy. You have a couple of gates of approval, say, from editor-in-chief, and then peer review process. And first is probably your supervisor. They're holding the sword. It's probably your supervisor. You don't talk about your co-supervisors yet. And then editor-in-chief after the submission to review the editorial side of your publication, and then comes a peer review, and then final decision, right? So it's not easy. So to get your paper published, before we go through the strategies and steps. So it's not an easy process. It begins with your proposal. So it doesn't begin with your paper writing, okay? It doesn't begin with your experiment. It begins with your proposal. So that's why, for me, I think the defense of your proposal is so crucial, because you start to put your thinking, your literature review, acknowledging the gap in the research, and then find out where do you want to contribute exactly, and then you craft your objective and then your experimental design to be able to deliver the objective and to conclude, right? So it begins with your proposal. It's not during the writing process. So that's why sometimes when you don't put the what you call when you don't put your thinking before the journal publication, it's gonna be hard when you have your data. You want to write it down, you want to publish, you find that it's very hard for you to find the gap, because finding the novelty doesn't start during the publication. It starts a couple steps before that already, right? So it begins with your proposal. Even though as a student, sometimes I acknowledge that finding the right novelty is not that easy. It takes time. You have to be, you have to know what's going on in the field, especially. So, so you need to tune over time. You need to refine over time. So relentless focus from proposal to experiment to writing and peer review and correction and stuff. So focus from the start, from the proposal. So the moment you started your MSc or PhD, it started already, right? The journal publication mindset started already from there. It's not like your 6 month or your 12 month. Start there and then. The moment you registered online on IPS website, it started already. The game started. So distraction from experiments. Sometimes you want to get your paper written. You have tons of experiments waiting for you. So distractions are not only from your social media, friends, families, whatnot. It may also come from your experiment that are waiting for you to run. Okay, requires good results in order to be published. Need a good writing, so you need to develop your skill, right? You need to develop your writing skill. Good English. Takes time to be published. This one dependent on the journal. It's typical to have 3 to 6 months of review and corrections and stuff to be able to be accepted. Some journals perhaps a year. So I haven't heard of a journal more than that. I think there are journals more than a year, but don't go for that, right? Don't go for that. So that's why it's very important for you to identify which journal to go for before submitting your paper. Right, so now let's get to the publication in high impact journals, strategies and steps. So high impact journals, what are they? Well, generally they are considered as those considered to be highly influential in their fields. So if you're talking about medical physics, so I don't know, there may be a list set of journals, a set of journals that are influential in the field. You can ask the Sakina. In geophysics, there are a set of journals that are influential in the field, even though you're talking about geophysics or medical physics or applied or semiconductor or whatever. That field alone is already a big field, and we have a couple more fields down there, a couple more breakdowns. If you talk about semiconductor, then maybe Dr. Maryam is working on random lasing, and I'm working on solar cells, somebody else detectors. So those are unique already, and normally each of these breakdown has its own influential journals in the field. So you need to ask your supervisors, okay? So to put it simply, just to summarize, you can target for Q1 and Q2 if you talk about high impact journals, even though it's not that simple to get there. But to put it simply, just tune your mind to Q1 and Q2 in general, okay? Now, Dr. Maryam dah haha guys. So, okay, let's move on to the next. High impact journals, you can go through JCR. I believe later on Dr. Maryam will walk you through the process of browsing. Yeah, Dr. Maryam, betul lah? Open access. Yeah, Dr. Maryam will walk you through the process. I'm just a way to check. You can check whether your journals are high impact or not by looking at JCR, Journal Report. You can open the website there and then enter your journal name, for example, solar energy for my field, and then browse your journal. And then two important things that you might want to see to know that whether your journals are high impact or not. For example, in this case, in my field, I'm working on solar cells. So one example is progress in photovoltaics or PIP. So I normally look into these two parameters. So average percentile, this is the Q1 or Q2 or Q3 or Q4. And the second parameter is impact factor. This is what I normally see. So to know that your journal is Q1, so your G percentile here has to show above 75%. So that means in the quartile that we have, Q1 is the top 75 to 100%, and then 50 to 74 is Q2, and then the next 25%, the next chunk of 25% is Q3, and the bottom 25% is Q4. So that's how you see your quartile, right? So you can check on the JCR later on. So this is this summarizes the performance of journal and index under Web of Science or WOS, or previously we call it ISI. Okay, these are the most two important parameters I would say. You may want to look into other parameters as well, but this is normally what I look into and then move on to the planning of journal and stuff, right? So journal percentile and impact factor. So in this case, the impact factor, you can see from 2015 to 2019. So it's 7.3, 6.7, 7.6, 7.7. So something like that, right? So you can look into the equation on how impact factor is calculated. So it's widely available online as well. So what do we want to publish? We want to publish new and original results or methods. New and original results. So that's the key, new and original. To be able to come to the new and original, so you need to have a very clear problem statement. So you need to be able to critically assess what's going on in the field, what has been done before by others, and what else is not done. So what else is not done is the gap that you want to address in your work, particularly for your PhD. Okay, so you need to identify what else is not done clearly. So the challenges are, some challenges are when you work on something that is already published or some parts already published, so you really need to justify the novelty of your publication, your work, and even your PhD later on, because you have redundancy in your parameters or in your areas, in your method. You will face this all the time. Okay, you'll face this all the time because it's not easy to identify a novelty or problem statement that is really clean of other people's previous work. It's very, very difficult. You need to talk to your supervisors because they are the experts in the field. So even for my case, certain PhDs working on the areas are not really clean in terms of the gap, but they are already ongoing works published, but there are some conditions that's not yet explored or investigated. So it's not always clean to begin with. So you need to talk to your supervisor before you come to new and original results or method. Okay, always wonder how to determine the quartile. Yeah, okay, that's good. All right, so it helps. So you can publish reviews or summaries of a particular subject. So you can later on when you do the submission, you will notice that you can either submit original paper, or you can also submit review paper and some other categories as well. For example, special invited papers from certain certain invitation or something. But another category is called review papers, where you can summarize what's going on to the field, what's going on in the field, recent development, for example. So this one is not the work of your own, but rather the output of your literature review. When you do the analysis, when you do the literature review and you start to analyze what is not done in the field, you can actually compile them and prepare them as a publication, as a review paper. Okay, as a review paper. So the good thing about review paper is that it will get high citation in a short time. Normally, right? If your paper is good enough, then you will gain high citation in a good time, because as a beginner, if I'm a beginner to a new field, then other than reading Wikipedias and stuff and whatever scattered reference online, I would go to review paper to identify what are the main points, recent literature in the field, and what else is not done, just by reading like, I don't know, 15 pages of review paper, and then you can get up to 75 to 100 references. And then the moment you want to narrow down which area you want to go for, then you start zooming into each paper in a particular section of that review paper. So that's why it will boost citation in a short time, because beginners, or in fact professionals or experts, they still go to review papers to identify what is the current progress in the field. Okay, so you can plan this beforehand as well. Manuscript that advance knowledge and understanding in a certain specific area. So when you talk about contribution to the field, so you're talking about advancement to the field. So what not to publish? This one is only a brief part. What not to publish? Manuscripts of no scientific interest. So that's why checking with the literature is crucial, so that you are doing what is the in thing in your field right now. So you cannot do something outdated, because it's wrong to begin with. Why you want to do something outdated? Because it's not supposed to be research. It's already obsolete, right? Then the harder part will be about the publication, because it's outdated already. Duplications of previously published work. So you don't want to plagiarize, because it's going to be very bad. You're going to be blacklisted, and some other implication as well. Incorrect or unacceptable conclusion, right? So we're going to go through later on. How to publish? This one is from this journal. So you have to do good research. So that's why identifying the right parameters, the important parameters to make a good research is very important. Sorry, question from Imda. Does the review paper need to insert the data? You need to include the recent literature in the field, but not only compiling the literature, you need to also assess what is going on, and you need to be able to see, you need to be able to read between the lines. What else is not done? What are the weaknesses of these areas of research? And then you start to, lead your discussion to what else is not being discussed. So if you're comparing your review paper and previous review papers, so you can say that, oh, these items have been discussed in previous review papers. However, these areas are not discussed. So that's why I'm going to discuss this in my review paper. So it's rather a compilation and critical analysis of what is not yet done and what is new in the field, and you review the progress in the literature. Okay, so it's not just inserting the data. But the figures and tables and results in the review paper will be related to the previously published results, where you need to get permission to include in your review paper. Formulate important research questions. So always start. Imda, it's not your own results, but you review the literature and you give your opinions on the reviews. Okay. So when you talk about your own results, you're talking about your own original paper, where you publish your own results. Okay. And research question. So always start with a research question. Don't just do research. Don't just run experiment. Don't just 10, 20, 30 of samples without having a research question. Please work out a research question clearly, and what do you want to see from the results. Then plan your experimental design properly, not just running whatever you want to run, right? It's going to cost time to the lab. It's going to cost long queue to others and stuff. And it's not a healthy practice anyway, because you don't, when you have flexibility to run so many samples, you will tend to run so many samples without giving a proper thought to the experiment. So then the risk is your experimental design will not be so sound to begin with. Then when you have the result, you will scratch your head, how do I write this and how do I publish this? So always start with your research question and problem statement first, sound experimental design. So that means when I talk about sound experimental design, please always discuss with your supervisors, what are the important samples that I need to put into my experimental design to be able to run this experiment successfully and get my important results. Not every single result under the sky. You need to only deliver important results within your scope. So that's why defining the boundaries of your research is very important, because if you just run samples, 30, 40 samples, and you end up having, I don't know, 4 or 5 useful results, and what happens to the next 35? Gone. right? So you've cost the time, you've cost the labor, you've cost unnecessary what you call implication to the lab. So plan your research carefully, experimental design carefully. So do not work alone, because this is a self-defeating practice and will likely produce a poor quality research output. So that's why you need to work in a team, discuss with your supervisors, having monthly progress meeting together with your supervisor and team, exchange ideas, present in conference, ready to be how you call ready to hear arguments on your research design and improve your research. Sound study design, good writing of your manuscript. Right, what else is important? Title should capture the novelty, right? So talk to your supervisors, they are expert in this field. So you need to be able to capture the novelty, because the moment you capture the novelty in the paper, then it will capture the attention of the reviewers, of the editor-in-chief, of important people. Abstract, cover letter is equally important, because you need to address what is new in your work, what is your contribution in the work, why is it significant, why do we have to publish your papers, right? So you need to justify those points in your cover letter. Choosing the right journals is equally important. You need to read aims and scopes, or else you will be rejected due to editorial reason, because you don't fit in the first place. So you need to read the aims and scope before your submission. In fact, before you plan your experimental design. I'm going to come to that. I'm just going to skip these 5 tips. There are a few more tips I'm going to go through later on in how do you write the paper. But let's go through important tips published by this one by Zamir. So do not rush submitting your article for publication. So some of you might rush. So some of you might, chase after his supervisor. I want to publish. But talk to him first. Talk to her first, because she knows what's going on with your experimental design and data. They know the quality of your results in order to be published or not. Select an appropriate outlet or the journal to publish. Read aims and scope. Okay, author guidelines is very important, because journal to journal have unique requirement, I would say, even though they have certain sets of documents that you have to submit, but some have unique requirements that you have to submit in order to be reviewed. Make a good first impression with your title and abstract. So normally, if I review journal paper, if the title doesn't sound right, or and I go through the abstract, it doesn't sound right as well, I can smell contribution already. So normally, I don't know, from my own perspective, if the contribution is really clear, it's really clean, then I can smell that, I can get that from the abstract. If it's not written, then maybe, most likely for me, I think, authors are struggling to justify the contribution, the novelties in the paper. Most likely. You may disagree with me. Have professional editing firm. Well, if your writing is not good enough, normally your supervisors can sort this out already, so you don't need professional editing unless your supervisors advise you to do so. Okay, so talk to your supervisors. Submit a cover letter with the manuscript, address review comments very carefully. We're going to go through later on. Dr. Maryam is going to walk you through the details of the process later on. So how to publish? My thoughts. This one is my thought based on my knowledge and experience. Refer to published articles in your field. Look at structure, results, writing, expectation of the journal. Do the literature review. Look at the papers. So how do they write? The structure, the results, the presentation, the writing, the grammar and everything, the arrangement of sentences, passive, and how is the introduction written? How do we write method? How do we write result? How do you stress the novelty? Everything you can get from the published papers if you go for Q1, Q2, because they are more concerned, they are more serious about this, right? So that is the expectations of the journal. So this is the what I call the expectations, or pretty much what you have to deliver in your publication. Structure, writing. If you watch MasterChef, right? What are important in MasterChef? What is important in MasterChef assessment process? Can you tell me now what is important? You can say something, or you can write here. MasterChef Australia or whatever, Malaysia. What are important components? Anyone? Ingredients, yes, ingredients. Yeah, you have to try ingredients. Results, novelties, contribution. What else? Apa lagi? Skills, right? Skill of cooking, right? So that is skill of writing, right? Skill of writing, which reflects skill of running experiment, which reflects skill of designing your experiment before running the experiment. Fresh ingredient, food presentation. Yes, exactly. Food presentation. So it's not only your experimental design, your experiment, messy experiment, messy samples. Finally, the presentation. You want to publish your figure 1, figure 2, table 1, table 2, and whatever, histogram. You want to present them in the right way, according to the expectations of the journal, right? In order to be given full mark or high marks, right? So even though you realize that your experiments are lousy or messy or, I don't know, scattered in a way, maybe in some sense, the presentation has to be clean, has to look clean, right? So that's how you present your results and explain your results. So you can translate all these points into a publication exercise. Okay. Plan paper skeleton before experiment. This is my personal publication process, I would say. I'm not sure about Dr. Maryam. Maybe Dr. Maryam can share. I normally, if I can, plan the skeleton of the paper even before experiments. So this one goes back to the planning of your proposal. Well, it's not straightforward though, because you need to have certain things in mind that you want to publish in the future. Then only you craft the proposal, experimental design. What are the set of results that you're looking forward to have, and then eventually your paper. I don't know. I started doing this when I did. I started to imagine my skeleton of my paper skeleton even before experiments. Then I came out with my proposed titles. I got proposed title, proposed result, in the sense that what sort of results I'm looking forward to have, and then what are the experiments needed for to be able to get to those results, and then what are the study design or characterizations that I need to be able to get comparable result or on par with the Q1, Q2 journals, for example. Then the moment you have this in mind, then you go to the lab, you run experiments that have been thought through, discussed with supervisors, and then you start to fill in the sections in the paper. So say you want to have AFM, UV-Vis, IV curve, and PL Raman done to be able to get this paper published. How do you know? Well, I have my comparisons in my literature. I've got this paper close to this area, and they have this sort of results, quite similar, and they made it through Nature, for example. And what would I not be able to make into Nature if I have got this set of results, for example, right? So this is how I do personally. So I do the planning of the skeleton before experiments. Then I will talk to my students and hear their feedbacks, hear their ideas, and then try to combine and then start the experimental design and get results, and then fill in the sections in the paper and see how does it survive the reviewing process. Okay, so this is how I do. Rather than you work on your experiment, get set of results, and then start to scratch your head. Are they? Then that means you only start your thinking process during the publication, which may be more daunting to me, because you haven't given your full thoughts to the data, to the experiment, to the design beforehand, and do the comparison to the best journals in your field, right? So this is how I go. Explain to yourself, why is it worth publishing? You need to be able to explain to yourself, because this is not only crucial for your publication process, this is equally crucial for your viva, right? So why is your novelties worth it or significant to the field? right? So why is it new? Why do you call it new? What makes it new? So chances are, for me, why is it worth publishing? It will not be published, right? If you can explain to yourself, it's worth publishing because 1, 2, 3, clearly, explicitly backing up with your results and your findings, chances are you can publish the papers in high impact journals. You need to have good results is a must, not lousy results. Well, if you have lousy results, it's even difficult to publish anywhere, even in conference, okay? Well, try to practice this. Try to bring the quality of our results. Try to start thinking good results journal, not so good results conference, even though it's not comprehensive for a conference, but it bring down, you start to think that poor results are for conference, then you start to poor is also okay. So that's not good. Okay, start writing now. Don't wait for 6 months or 12 months. At least you craft something already, at least a skeleton of your paper. If you're not confident for journals, then you can start from conference. That's fine, just to build confidence, because conference has its own purpose as well: networking, building up confidence, sharing results, hear this, and then go back and try to refine your experimental design and get better results. So it does its part as well. Okay. So journal selection, I'm going to show you the journal finder later on, but let me walk you the points first. There's no single formula exists in selecting journal. I would say the first step is talk to your supervisors. Okay. Finding the right journal for your article can be key to reaching your target audience, because your supervisors know who are the target audience, who are the potential, who are the most promising researchers in the field, and where do they normally read the latest results. So that will affect the readability, citations. If you have a good paper, but you publish in the wrong journal, not the best one, where not, say, if I work on solar cell, I would want people from solar cells to go and read my paper, to find my paper, and then they probably don't look into certain set of journals for solar cells. They rather go for certain other journals. Then this is where they read. So, and your papers are here. So they don't find your papers as a result. So that will affect the readability and also citations. And I was also rejected last time when the paper was okay, commented by the peer review process and then the editorial in chief as well. But then the readability is not so high as per the comments. So the paper was rejected. Okay, the paper was rejected due to that reason. It's possible as well. So check references in your article to give indication of possible journals of interest. Well, if you go through your literature, check back your 50, 100 papers, and you will see most likely a certain number of journals will appear a number of times. For example, if you're working in solar cell, then probably you will see solar energy coming a couple of times, or progress in photovoltaics, or advanced energy materials. You'll see common journals coming a couple of times, published in that particular publication. So that shows where you want to publish as well. Okay. And the fact that the references are cited in this good journal means that the references are equally good or better than the published journals, the published papers. So check journal performance by going through JCR. So submit your paper to one journal at a time. Don't submit 3 places at a time. It's wrong ethically, right? So what happens if you submit 2 at a time and then both accepted without correction? Wrong, right? So it happens already last time. Some other places, not our place, but it happened, so it may happen again. So it's wrong. Submit one at a time. You have concern of publishing results after before your graduation as a graduation requirement, but be patient as well at the same time. So doing research teaches you many things. Patience is one of the qualities that you will learn over time. Right. So if you don't know how to find the best journal for your particular work, so you can go through this journal finder. So let me just show you an example. So you can find journal finder from Elsevier. Okay, this is from Elsevier, this is from Springer, this is from Wiley, for example. So what you have to do is you just have to type your manuscript title and your abstract and the area, and then see what's coming up. Let me just show you one example. Okay, let me search the journal finder and share the screen. Yeah, give me a few seconds. Journal finder, Elsevier. Okay, cool. Okay, let me share my screen. Hold on. All right, can you see my journal finder? Is it visible on your screen? Okay, good. So this one is by Elsevier. So what you can do is, let me just copy paste my title from my previous paper just to demonstrate. Okay, so now I paste my latest paper just accepted last week, aluminum assisted chemical etching for fabrication of black silicon. Then I'll paste the abstract as well. Okay, hold on, yeah. So that's the abstract. Okay, then let's find some keywords before we search. I don't know. We have black silicon here. You need to type here. Okay, type and enter. Yeah, it's there. Cool. Right, maybe solar cell. Yeah, let me just put solar cell application. Okay, 2 will do, I think. Where do I put this? Field of research. Let me find the closest one. Maybe energy. Select field of research. If you have another one. So find journals then it'll start to search for you. What's your best match? I don't know why is it petroleum to begin with. Okay, solar energy materials and solar cells. See, this one is Q1 6.9. So you may not agree to the sequence. You can browse and see whether it fits your plan or not. Solar energy, energy reports, joule, nano energy. See, I believe you can sort this out as well. I rarely use this because I know where do I publish and where do I want to publish. But if you're a beginner in the field, you can come to this and do the same thing. Okay. And then maybe I don't know, maybe if your supervisors ask you to, okay, maybe he said, Imdad, go back, find 5 top journals and come back next week and propose to me. Then that's how you can actually go and find, other than looking at your references in the papers that you are reading now. So you can go through the journal finder as well. Okay, do the same thing, and it can advise you the most potential journal that you are looking for. Let me look. Let's go back to the finder. Okay, so you can see my slides now. Yeah, I'm going back to the slides. Yep, you can see the slides, right? Just to confirm. Yeah, okay, right, cool. Journal finder, so you can go to Springer, same thing. You can go through Wiley and do the same thing and find the top journals in the fields, right? So now how do we write the first draft? Some of you are new, some of you have published. So writing the first draft may be difficult first time if you haven't written a single paper before. So you may not know where to start and how to start, okay? Not sure about the content, not sure whether it's good enough, not sure about the structure and the sequence. You need to talk to your colleagues, especially before that to your supervisors, of course, on how do you write your first paper, and then write it anyway as your first attempt. So if you wait for perfection, you will never write. So this is, I would say, the default format of writing a paper. So it's called IMRAD. Bukan IMDAD, satu ubah sikit jadi IMDAD. So introduction, method, results, and discussion. Of course, finally conclusion. Okay. So introduction, the essence of introduction is, well, you can see later on, maybe I can share later on how an introduction looks like. So in essence, you are discussing about the field that you want to publish. So if I'm working on black silicon, for example, I'm going to show you later on the introduction. What is black silicon, for example? So that's normally an introduction consists of 3 to 4 paragraphs. I would say 3 is common. First paragraph would be about the black silicon. What is black silicon? How does it work? How do you produce black silicon? Why is it tempting to work on black silicon? Why is it important? Why is it interesting? And then if your paper is about method, a new method, and then your second paragraph would be what are the current methods being used to publish, to fabricate black silicon? Okay. And then in the second paragraph, you need to mention what are the strengths and weaknesses of the current method. And then from the weaknesses of the current method, what else is not done in the literature? And then your third paragraph will be, what have you done in this paper? What is your contribution? Why is it interesting? Right? So why is it significant? So the third paragraph will always be about your contribution to the field of black silicon in this case. So generally 3 paragraphs, reviewing the field, method in the second paragraph, and then your contribution in the third one. So the context of the paragraph varies from case to case, of course, because it depends on the title. So in my case, if you're talking about the method, then it's going to be about method. So I'm going. So generally, you're going from a broad discussion, which is the field of black silicon. Method, you're going small, like a cone. Produce black silicon. Weaknesses, strength of the method. What else is not done? Therefore, this is what I'm trying to do. So you're going smaller and smaller, like a funnel. Okay, like a funnel. So broad, you're going broad, narrow, and then eventually you'll see when you finish off with your discussion and conclusion, you need to relate your contribution to the field again. You need to go broad. So it goes like that and like that, right? In terms of the shape or the scope of the paper. So method, how did you do it? Okay, how did you do the fabrication? How did you do the deposition? How did you characterize your random lasing, for example? How did you use your laser? What sort of specifications or illumination level and chemicals and AFM and others? So generally, if you talk about experimental and characterization, so you need to divide this into 2 sections generally. So probably the first one is on the processing. How do you prepare the sample? So in my case, how did I do the etching process on the silicon wafer? And then the second part would be about how do I characterize the black silicon? So FSAM or AFM, UV-Vis, IV, whatnot. So generally, okay, generally. So what did you do? So result is about what did you find from your experiment? So what did you get? So they may be in the form of figures, tables, histogram, many more, so depending on what you want to present. Okay, so what did you find? So discussion of the result is about what does it mean? So if you see increasing trend of stability with reducing humidity, for example, if you plot stability of your device against humidity of the space, if it's more humid, then the device degrades, for example. So why? What does it mean? Why is it going down? So you need to relate with the why, the how of the results, okay? So normally students report the stability increases when humidity decreases, for example, and then you stop there. So that's not good because you don't explain why is it increasing? Why is it decreasing? Why is it stagnant? So what's actually happening in the underlying? So what's happening to the molecular arrangement? Any ion migration or stuff? Something like that. So you need to really go down to the mechanism, the how, the why to be able to extend the discussion. So normally, I don't know. The way I prefer it is that I present result and then I discuss right away instead of writing result and then discussion in the next section. So maybe some journals require results and discussion, but normally when I write, I rather go with result right away discuss, because for me I find it a lot easier to continue momentum, because the moment you result and then you right away discuss. Sorry, the moment you present the result, then you right away discuss the inside of the result, the underlying properties, the physics, the mechanism, the theory, and then compare with other findings. So generally, when you talk about, I would normally write in the form of 4 to 5 sentences, where the first one is about figure 1 shows blah 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 blah. One shows AFM images of fabricated using you're sort of spelling the result that you're presenting literally, and then the second sentence would be about the trend that you're seeing, increasing, decreasing, or stagnant, or fluctuating, or whatever trend you see. Then the third sentence would be about the explanation of the trend, or the discussion of the trend. Why is it increasing? Why is it decreasing? Why is it fluctuating? Why is it not stable? And then the fourth one is maybe the how. What's going on at molecular level, for example? So what's mechanism in place? What mechanisms at play? What equations at play, for example? And then the final one would be comparison to your discovery and previous findings in the literature. So that's how you normally have to write it. 4 or 5 sentences is typical in order to explain your results strongly. Okay. And then finally is the conclusion of your finding. So that's the general format. It's called IMRAD. Okay. So steps. If you don't know the steps, so where do you start? So title first or figure first? How do you do it? Anyone? How do you write your paper? What are your steps? Do you have any preference to write your papers? Anyone? So I would go this way. So it may be different from person to person. So since I have imagined the title beforehand or along the process before I come to the publication, I will put the title first as a potential title, say, and I'll come back to this. After finishing the paper, I'll come back to the title and refine the title if necessary. So I'll go with the title first so that I can scope the boundary of the paper well. So if you scope your paper well from the title, and then the rest will come a lot easier, because this result fall within the scope, you can always go back to the title and check. Okay, either the result supporting the finding. Your title is suggesting the novelty, right? So that's the best case. And you want your result to support your title because the title is supporting your novelty. So you want to be aligned properly, okay? Perfectly, if you like. Then prepare the figures and tables. Just copy paste your figures and table you plotted from, say, Origin or some other, or Sigma plot or something. So don't use Excel. You can use Excel for your group presentation, for your group discussion, meeting with your supervisor. It doesn't look good. Just about the presentation of the food in to present properly. So in this case, you want to present your results professionally. So you need to use professional softwares like Minitab or Origin or Sigma plot. Those are the common ones, I would say. Okay. Those are the easiest ones. Just copy paste your figures, your tables, done. You can go back already that day. Then come back. Then write caption. Figure 1, what? Table 1, what? So just explain the caption of your results. Done. Then go to the method, because this one is the easiest one, because this is what you did. You don't have to analyze anything in this section, because you just spell out what you did. That's all. Then you go to the result. Start to graph for figure 1. So to follow the sequence of sentence 1 to 4 or 5, for example, according to the sequence I explained just now. Then you start to go to figure 2, explain your results, and discuss figure 3, table 1, blah, and you finish title, figure, table, method, result discussion done. And finally, you need to, then after the result discussion is usually the conclusion. The way I do it, I conclude, and then only I go back to the introduction, even though I know already that it's going to take this shape, the field, strength, weaknesses, what is not done, and therefore this like to do and publish. Okay, so finalize result and discussion before writing the introduction. Go to the introduction after that, because if the discussion is insufficient, how can you objectively, so the key is objectively, of your work. So after all, in the third paragraph in the introduction, you need to justify, explain, emphasize, so that it's worth of. You won't be able to do that if you don't clean up your result and discussion and be clear about the conclusion before you craft your third paragraph of your introduction. So go to your introduction after finishing your results and the significance and contribution. Then easier. It's okay for you to write beforehand, but you need to go back to the introduction before you go to the abstract and finalize the paper. So write a clear conclusion. Well, okay, write a clear conclusion or introduction. Write compelling introduction. I would go with conclusion first and then go to introduction, because by the time you finish off with your conclusion, the introduction will become a lot easier. You are clean already. So write the abstract as the final one, and then revise title, revisit title if needed. So this is the point where you go back to the title and then you try to refine the title to capture the novelty of your contribution, if needed. If your proposed title is good enough, then that's it, done. Else, normally for my case, I would normally go to the title and try to refine here and there, you know, the arrangement of the word and stuff, or selection of the word, because you don't want to go too long with your title, and you don't want to go too short. So you want to capture the most important information in a succinct way, right? So I think I've read later on a couple of days back about citations. Papers that are cited more are papers with succinct titles. So just right, not too long, not too short. If it's too long, then people will just leave the paper, unless it's too impactful for the field. Write the acknowledgement to acknowledge your grant and stuff. Write out your references and clean up the references. Okay. Submission process. This is the last part. Let me just walk you through the process briefly. Dr. Maryam will show you. So, for example, if you want to submit to Materials, Chemistry, and Physics, MCP, this one is a Q2 journal indexed by WS. Impact factor 3.4 here, you can see 3.408. Okay, you can go to submit your paper here, submit your paper, and then you'll come to this page for this particular journal. So you'll see different page, of course, for other journal. So you need to select either it's a review paper, short communication, you know, certain invited sections, I would say, perhaps from conference. So in this case, it's a full-length article if you want to present your original results. So choose from a drop-down, click proceed, and then you'll come to this page. So I noticed lately that journals don't require so many documents, so many files to be uploaded to the system, because they can extract your figures, your tables from your editable Word format. So that's why they encourage you to upload into Word, because they can extract by the system your tables and figures automatically. So you don't have, in that sense, you don't have to upload your figure 1 JPEG, figure 2 JPEG, table 1 JPEG. So it makes our life easier. So in this case, for MCP, so the required documents are cover letter, where you justify your contribution to the publication, to the field. So why is it worth publishing? Title page, just a title page, and your affiliation, done. And then manuscript, your whole manuscript, right? So including your text and tables and figures. Some journals prefer your figures and table to be embedded in the text. So that means you have your figure 1 between your previous text and your next text. And some other journals prefer it to be all text, then only comes your tables and figures after the text. Okay. Then declaration of interest. If you have any conflicting interest, this is a default. You can find a template from the journal. And then author statement normally is required as well, where you need the latest strand requires each author to spell out their contributions clearly to the paper. Either you're doing literature review, or you're giving funding, or you are the corresponding author, or you are the person who interpret the result, or you are, you can see the keywords in the journal, okay, the contribution, and they are even classified properly. So they've got the terms already for your contribution. You don't have to craft your own words. You can just choose from the existing keywords, if you like, and then list what are your contributions and what are contributions of your SVs and co-authors and colleagues or not, okay? And then identify the classification of the paper. For example, if you're working on solar cell, then it's going to be about solar or silicon or something. You can choose from the classification. And then you need to say yes or no here in this case for this particular journal. So is it original work? Yes. Do you confirm that it's not been published before? Yes, of course. Authors check, of course, if you have forwarded the paper to all the authors for review. And then what is this? Organization, acknowledge, and grant and stuff. Okay. And if you have any words to say to the editorial office, you can say here. It's not going to be visible to the reviewers. Okay. Okay, done. I think my part is done. Let me just unshare. So do you have any questions so far, or you want to continue with Dr. Maryam and we have questions at the end? So do you have anything at this point? If no, then maybe you can just proceed with Dr. Maryam to walk you through the process. I think a more crucial process in accommodating and entertaining reviewers' comments. Go ahead. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Zamir. So if you have any question, you can just like write in the chat box over here. So after Dr. Maryam's session, so we can go back to the question. Okay, Dr. Maryam, are you ready? I think you're on. Yeah. Okay. So if you are ready, you can start now.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and good day to everyone. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, good.
Okay, thank you. All right, now, so you can all see my screen, huh? Okay, so we are all going to publish with greatness. Let's have that in mind. Let's have that thing in our heart, okay? We want to publish very well. We don't just simply publish, we want to choose wisely where we publish. Yeah? Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Zamir, Dr. Sakina. Just an introduction. My name is Maryam Ahmad Kamil from USM. So I came here in 2013. And I have been to a number of places with a number of international collaboration. Just to say that it's very good if you can get collaboration or international collaboration. So this is something that you can achieve, not just collaborating in doing research, but also collaborating in writing papers. Okay, all right. This would increase your visibility for sure. Right, so this is something that Dr. Zamir has already covered. Okay, so the significance of publishing, which not only contributes to knowledge, but also in terms of some kind of competition for some of you. So for some of you, if you are late, then that's it, you can no longer publish. Okay, so it's always important, once you have significant result, push for publication first. Okay. It is also an avenue to expand collaboration, to validate your findings. Now, this is quite important because if you can already validate your findings, then you will not have a problem with your viva later. Okay, right? So this is a crucial point. And visibility is something I mentioned just now. So this is when others can already start seeing your work. Okay, somebody is requesting annotation. Okay, I'm not sure. All right. Okay. And this can also be a measure of success, so a merit for success. Okay. Now, I don't know what's going on. Huh? Sakina, for something I prove something.
There's something wrong?
Who is this Ben Tahir? Macam mana kita nak stop any? Okay. All right. Okay. Boleh. Sorry, managed to complete. All right. So the importance is it validates your work. Okay, validates your work. It's a contribute to the knowledge. So that's the proof of your contribution. So the moment you have publication, inshallah, your PhD will not be such a problem. Huh? Okay, because you already have that contribution to knowledge that you have put in paper. You have black and white. Okay, right? Now you also receive feedback, peer review. Now this would also help in your viva later on. So whatever the reviewers have in mind that are not clear, this would also be the same thing that your examiners would not be clear about. So this would help you in a way. Okay, this is also something to show the potential of your research. So this would enhance your CV and of course, communication skill, because writing is a form of communication. Okay, you're trying to communicate to other people to talk about your research. So it's a communication skill. Okay, so research would be worthless until it is published. So have that in mind as well. Okay, now dealing with manuscript rejection. Now this is something that happens to a lot of us, even me and Dr. Zamir, we also experience this as well. The common rejection that you cannot rebut is editor level. This is checkmate. Okay, so editor level, you need to either fully revise or my advice, send elsewhere. Okay, right? So why do we get editor rejection? Can any of you please type in the chat box any idea on why you get editor rejection? Why do you think the editor is trying to reject our paper so much? Research out of scope. Thank you very much, Siti Hajar. Grammar mistake. Oh, kalau rejection due to grammar mistakes, that is really kesian. Okay, all right. Novelty. Very good. Very good. Yes. So research out of scope. Grammatical mistake, meaning that you are not conveying it at the level that they can understand what it is about. So if you write something that is not understandable, then of course it's going to be very hard. Okay, all right. So where is my, all right. So the editor's checklist, as you mentioned, originality, novelty, that's the number one that they will look at, right? Does it fit the aim and scope of the journal? So it's important for you to know the aim and the scope of the journal that you're trying to send to. This is something that normally your supervisor would already know, the aim and scope of the journal, okay? All right? Language, as you said, grammatical mistakes, clear communication, again, that links with grammatical mistakes. And scientifically sound. That means the moment they read it, they know, okay, this is within our scope, it has novelty, and it does look like you have done it properly. So yes. So the moment it passed the editor level, then it reached the reviewers. Now, if the editor level, if it is already rejected at the editor level, then it doesn't go out to reviewers. So it's the end game. So you have to submit elsewhere or you fully revamp the paper and then send again. Okay. Right, so reviewers, okay, this can actually lead to a final decision by the editor for rejection. So for example, if your reviewers, all the reviewers of that particular paper reject all your papers, then that paper would ultimately be rejected by the editor as well. So it can lead to editor rejection. But if it goes to the reviewer level and you actually get rejection after the review level, this is actually good news. Why do you think it's good news? Of course, you will see it as a bad news because it's rejected, right? But why is it good news to be rejected after review? Why is it not considered a bad news? Any thoughts? Comment from reviewer helps to improve the paper. Exactly. Exactly. A chance to improve your paper. So this is good news for you. Okay, so you have something else from other people on why it is rejected. Okay, so if you get to tackle that and you send somewhere else, then inshallah the chances are higher. Okay, but if it doesn't go through review, you have nothing to work with. Okay, right? So it's very important to have that review. Okay, right? So let's look at some examples before we move on. But I would just like to get you into the post-rejection. Okay, so what is the difference between review level and editor level? Okay, as I mentioned just now, editor level, when you submit your paper, it goes to editor first. The editor will read through. So this is this point. Okay, this is the editor's checklist. We'll read through, does it fit the aim and scope of the journal? If it's out of scope, that's it, rejected. So it doesn't go to review. Only when editor says, okay, it meets the aim and scope, it's scientifically sound, it's original, it's kind of a clear communication, okay, it gives out to review. Okay, so then there is a review level for either acceptance, minor, major correction, or just accepted like that. It can also happen, very rarely. So if it's on the editor level, then you can no longer submit to that journal. You have to either resubmit with an improved version or fully revamped, because obviously there is something not quite there yet. Or you can send it to a different journal that fits in the scope of what you want to publish about. Okay. Secondly, when the editor says, yes, okay, I think this paper is okay, so they forward to review, then you have the reviewers to look at your paper. Okay, right? So when the reviewers look at your paper, if they feel that it is good, then they will give their comments. Okay, but even if they reject, they will also give their comments. So in both cases, they will always give their comments. So if you have rejection after review, then that means you have some comments that you can work with. Okay, and if it is all, if you have 3 reviewers or 2 reviewers for a particular paper and both said that they think that the paper has to be rejected, then the editor will ultimately reject the paper as well. Okay, so that is why it's important for both. Okay, now post-rejection, the moment you receive rejection in publication, in public, sending your paper, what do you feel? The moment you receive that rejection, what do you feel?
I feel sad.
Sad, sad kan? Sad, and then you feel very, demotivated.
Demotivated.
Exactly. So it's very important, frustrated kan? So it's very important that if it goes through reviewer, take it as a good thing because you get comments by the reviewer. But you should never give up in sending it. So each time it gets rejected, look back. Okay, does it fulfill this checklist? If it doesn't, where do you have to make it better, right? Okay, so a completed manuscript, you submit, it goes to editor, it goes to reviewer. That's the process. It doesn't go straight reviewer and then come back to the editor. No, it will always go to editor first. Editor will skim down first. Okay, can it go to review or not? If yes, it goes to reviewer. Right? Okay. It then means when we got rejection, we can't resubmit to the publisher again even after we make the correction. No, if you make a full revamp or full correction, if it is not if it's rejected the first round, okay, and then you adjust a lot of things, then you can submit again, and they will review again. So the editor will look again. Okay, this time does it fit in with what they want? If it does, then it goes to review. But from my experience, it's always better to send elsewhere. Okay, so for example, let's look at this. Okay, what's in the abstract? What's in the abstract? Okay, so the first part is what? An introduction, right? So notice the introduction is just 2 lines. Okay, or up to 3. The next part, they explain what's inside the paper. Okay, they include what's inside the paper, 3 lines. And lastly, the last sentence is highlighting not just what they want to achieve, but it's more like a concluding remark. Okay, it's more like what does the future hold? Because it's a review paper, it's a review article. So when you write yours, these are the things that you have to look into. Are you summarizing your paper or not? Okay, so if you have, if you are making a review paper and you don't have any introduction, you straight away go in this review. Okay, so there's no introduction part, then it will be hard to be accepted in these high-end journals. Okay, all right, let's look at a different article whereby you have, whereby it's not a review, so it's an original article submitting original results. Okay, all right, so what's in the first part? What did they talk about in the first part of the abstract? Just the abstract. So what's the first part? Right? Method. Yes, method. So method has to be in the abstract. What else? Okay. What else is in there? Expected results. Actually, these are not expected results. They are actual results. Okay. They are actual results. Yeah, the findings. Okay. The findings. Characterization. Yes. Okay. You see, they show here that these were investigated in detail by what, and what. Okay. All right. Final part here. What's the final one? Conclusion, right? Conclusion. Okay. So it has to be a summary. So just by reading it, you know exactly what this paper is talking about. If the reviewer reads your paper and they have no idea what your abstract is talking about, that's it. Okay, that would not even so that may be a major correction. Okay, so be very specific what you want to highlight. What is the result that is so significant that you want to highlight? That should be in your abstract. Okay, that should be in your abstract, right? So how do you do it? How do you measure certain things? What do you get? Right? Okay, so hopefully this clears the air a bit. Okay, now I have here an example of an introduction. How many problem statements do you see? Introduction must always have problem statement, the problem that you want to solve by your research. In this paper, how many problem statement can you observe? Do you see any problem statement at all? Have a read first. Reading now, okay. Now, one tip, the moment it starts in this paper, no longer a problem statement. Okay, so problem statement would be before that. The problem in the literature. Yeah, how many? How many do you detect the problem? How many problems do you detect that they are trying to provide? You understand by the word of problem statement, right? So problem statement is something that you want to improve in your problem. Yes, in that, well done. I also see 3. Well done, well done. Okay, right. So the first problem statement, okay, is around here, right? So device application becomes one of the major focus in recent researchers. In order to utilize, then they have to control everything. Okay, so although you have different methods and all this, okay, complex process, sophisticated equipment, high temperatures make them very hard to large scale produce. Okay, one problem, right? Now, we can do chemical bath deposition. For example, this example here, okay, this is low cost, low temperature. However, it also has another problem. Okay, so one problem they want to overcome is for large scale production. The second problem is that when they go to a method of chemical bath deposition, they see a different problem, which is poor reproducibility, difficult to control size and everything. Okay, all these problems. So it's a challenge to obtain controllable growth. So you can already see this paper is trying to show that they have one method of overcoming this large scale production. Secondly, they have a better revised method of this chemical bath deposition that can overcome this issue of controllable growth. So they propose the most successful approach is blah, blah, blah. Okay, right? Now, some other pre-treated methods, you can use different things here. Okay, but the most easily carried out would be spin coating, according to them. Okay, because this is more economical. So therefore, they select spin coating technique to produce the layer. Okay, right? So they have here 3 issues that they want to overcome. So you need to have a clear problem statement, just like Dr. Zamir mentioned, in order to avoid rejection. Okay, so 1, clear abstract. 2nd, clear problem statement in your introduction. So introduction is not just to introduce the topic. Okay, get this clear. Introduction is not talking about, okay, what is zinc oxide and everything. This is only like the first sentence. That's it. You have to go straight into the problem statement. What is it you want to overcome? Okay, all right. So problem statement is something that the reviewers will look in your article. If you don't have that, confirm it will be rejected. Okay, all right. So I hope you get to see this. Now look at the conclusion part. Look at the conclusion part. So they talk about what they want to see. So this is the effect of substrate pre-treatment. So this is what they want to see. Okay, so they mentioned the conclusion will be related to this. And how did they get the best? So they said under the growth condition of blah, 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 they see a very good low density of deep level defects. So this all shows about the goodness of that particular material. Okay, right? How many problem statements that should be included? Okay, normally no more than 3. You cannot have too much problems to settle in one paper. No more than 3. 2 is already okay. 1 is too small. So you need between 2 and 3. I would say between 2 and 3. Okay, normally this is how you do it. So like this case, they go from big, small, small. You notice? Okay, initially they say about in terms of the industry, what's going on, the industry, what's the problem. That's the big picture. Okay, so there's a problem of large scale production. And then they go down. Okay, in order to overcome this, we have a specific method that everyone is using, like a lot of people is using, not everyone. A lot of people is using. Okay, from that method, what is then a problem that you have to overcome? So you can include a sub. You go deeper and deeper. Okay, so the contribution to that knowledge would be in just here. Okay, in just the pre-treatment only, actually. Okay, because the other things has already been established. But that is how you line down the problem statement. Big to smaller to smaller. Okay, I hope that in that understand that. Okay, all right. So what can you learn from this activity, from the activity that we did just now? What can you learn? What do you think I'm trying to show you? Okay, and anyone learn anything from this activity? It is good to okay, if you have comments, of course. If you have comments. So rejection is not necessarily a bad thing. Yes. Anything else? Clear the objective. Yes. Structure. Yeah, structure of the paper is important, right? Rejection isn't the end of the world. Exactly. Dr. Zamir would know this more. Find out the core of your paper. Yes. So again, relate with the objective, right? Okay. So find out what is it that you want to highlight, kan? Right? So I hope this opens your mind in rejection is not everything, but on the second part, I hope that you see that it's important to be clear on what you want to talk about. Right? It's important to be clear. And I hope, no one has said this, but I hope that one other thing that you will learn is that you need to read other papers in order to understand how you can write a paper. This is part of an important message. I hope you somehow get that as well, that you need to read other papers. Yes, Hanadi, exactly. The problem statement is a very big thing to focus on to avoid rejection. Yes, I agree. Because if the gist is there, and if it's just small grammar mistakes, it's normally acceptable. Okay, so if it's not clear on what your problem statement is, then it's very prone to rejection. Exactly. Okay, thank you very much. We'll have more active groups now. All right, so what does the reviewer look at? 1, originality. Second, clarify of hypothesis. All right, okay, so your objective. Strength and weakness of the method, result, and experiment. Now, this is something that would bring into the minor and major revision. So it would not be rejected if it's just strength and weakness. Okay, writing style. So you have to have a good presentation. Ethics. Ethics is something that's quite big. Even though you have all 4, but it's not ethically correct, it will be rejected as well. Okay, so ethics is quite a big thing. So be very careful when it comes to ethics. All right, so minor or major revision. So if you get minor or revision, yes. Okay, so this is minor or major revision is already a huge success. Congratulations if you get this. Okay, it means it's not rejected. So it's a very good thing. Regardless how many comments they give, regardless how bad the feedback is, if they say minor or major revision, yes, it means your chances of publishing that paper is high. Okay, that's all you need, no rejection. Okay, so minor or major revision is a very, very good thing. Okay, all right. So what is your first response? So any of you who have gone through writing a paper and you got minor or major revision, what was your first response to comments when you see all the comments? What was your first response? What did you do? So anyone who has gone through writing a paper, okay, and got up to the point of major minor revision, what's your first response? Or no one has published yet, is it? I see no one writing anything, okay. Okay. Whatever response that you get, Ikram ada ni, Ikram. What's your response to comments? You can also speak on the mic if you cannot type. I published in the first break. Huh? What does that mean? Okay, I don't understand. Okay. So if not rejected, I would grab a coffee then start to sit on the comments one by one. Okay. So any other responses to comments? Okay, so you just go and grab a coffee, Zamir. Okay, what to do? Okay, so when you get the comments, what do you do? First thing, stay calm. So like Dr. Zamir, you grab a coffee. So the best thing is because when you see the comments, there's a lot of comments. So sometimes you go like, what am I going to do? Right? Okay, so the first thing, stay calm. Okay, look at the comments one by one. So read the comments one by one. So what should you do? Respond to each comment. It's very important that you respond to each comment because you have to acknowledge the comments that are given, regardless good or bad, or you have to rebut. Right? If you think that you are right and you think that the reviewer may have some misunderstanding, acknowledge first and then explain the misunderstanding. So you should never go like, this is wrong. You should never say something like that. You should go like, thank you for the comments. However we feel that, whatever you feel. Okay, all right? So stay calm, read the comment, respond to each comment. Okay, so for example, this is an example that a standard template for me. Okay, so you have to advise the editor. So this would be dear whatever the editor's name is. Okay, sometimes you just write dear editor, it's also accepted, but I prefer to write the actual editor's name. So we are grateful to the editors and reviewers for their time and constructive comment on our manuscript. We have implemented their suggestion and therefore revised another version of the manuscript. Okay, so I am on behalf of all the co-authors because I'm the corresponding author. Okay, if you have any additional comment or correction that is not mentioned by the reviewers, can add that here. Okay, so in my case, I realized there was a mistake in referring one of the figures, so I mentioned here that this has been corrected in the manuscript. Okay, all right. Now, the reviewer comment here, okay, page 1, introduction section, doping dyes with polymers. Polymers can be doped with dyes, not dyes with polymer. Eventually, dyes can be doped to polymers. Please rephrase the sentence. What would be your response? How would you respond to this? Page 1, introduction section, doping dyes with polymers. Polymers can be doped with dyes, not dyes with polymer. Eventually, dyes can be doped to polymers. Please rephrase. What would be your answer to this kind of comment? What would you say? Yeah, you can either have it a positive or a negative way. Okay, it depends on how you read it as well. But you should always take everything in a positive way. The moment they comment, it means they want to improve your paper for better quality of the journal. Okay, so how would you respond to reviewer comment number 1? Anyone have any idea? If the statement is by the reviewer is true, then I will thank the reviewer and rephrase accordingly. Yes, baguslah Siti Hajar. Okay, exactly. That is what I would do as well. Okay, so I just said the sentence has been rephrased with polymer can be doped with dyes to reduce threshold. So we just follow that they say polymer can be doped with dyes. So we just put polymer can be doped with dyes. No problem. Okay, so page 2, please correct insert. This has been corrected. The value does not correspond to values presented in figure. Just put what is presented in the figure. That's it. F is missing. This has been included. So it's a very, if you look at it, go simple. All right. If you think what the reviewer say is correct, just include, except that you made a mistake. Just answer what is asked. Just don't go. Exactly, Dr. Zamir. Just answer what is asked. Don't go beyond the question. Okay. So for example, it had a very long thing on page 5, right? The statement, all this. I suggest to replace the word always by the phrase in most cases. So actually, that's the point. The point is just that, right? So we agree. We have replaced with in most cases. Just look at what they want. Go with it. Don't add more headache. Okay. Okay. Whatever they want, put it. Okay. All right. So I hope it's clear. Now sometimes the question is the comment is small, but you need to include a big thing. Okay. So for example, abstract should be rewritten to contain experimental data to illuminate the structure. So we thank you for highlighting this. So the abstract has been rewritten. So copy paste what you have rewritten. Okay, and accordingly the conclusion has been modified to include experimental data. So we include that as well. ASRD patterns and grain sizes should be given. Okay, so then you say, okay, I've included it and we have provided in an explanation below. So what is the explanation? Put that. Don't ask them, oh, please refer page 2 and 3 and so on. No, just paste it there. So they know exactly what has been changed. That's it. Okay, so the moment you answer this accordingly, they will accept it. Right? Okay. Now, the key feature that I want you to take back is that respond to all comments, no matter how big or how small. Right? Okay. So normally we would do major comments first, followed by minor comments. So major comments are regarding the structure of your paper and so on. Minor comments is like figure 1 is missing, or the English should be better, something like that. Then these are minor comments, right? So normally you deal with the major comments first. Okay, this results needs blah, 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 needs blah, blah, blah explanation and so on. So deal with that first. Okay, right? So that would be my suggestion that has been worked well for me so far. Okay, all right. So respond to all comments. Okay, ethics is something that is something that plays quite a role, significant role. Okay, now, for example, Ali was involved in a project whereby he conducted a portion of the experiment. Should Ali be in this paper? He was involved in a project where he conducted a portion of the experiment, not the whole experiment, a portion of the experiment. Should Ali's name be in this paper? It's just a yes or no. What do you think? Ethically, should yes or no? Okay, Izaki says yes. Oh, Hajar also says yes. Atika says yes. Oh, banyak say yes ni. Okay. Okay, all right. Yes, yes, yes. Any no's? Okay, so I think it's very clear for you that if somebody is involved in your project, they have to be included in the paper. Ethically, it should be so. So if you publish something and they notice that, oh, this is the work that we did together, how come my name is not there? They can inquire to the editor, right? And the editor can retract your paper. So be very careful. Those who have to be included, include. Those who do not need to be included, then you don't have to include. Okay, but be very careful on who needs to be included, right? Okay. Who should be the corresponding author? Who? Quite an important question. Huh? Who should be corresponding author? Do you know? As a student, do you know who should be? Supervisor, yes. Very good in that, Izati. Yes. Because there is a reason. Can we add something that reviewer do not mention in, for example, new sentence or result? If you ask my opinion, no. Because that would mean that we have to review again. So in my opinion, if it is not related to the comment, tak payah. Okay, Fa? It's better to just address the comment. Then it's straightforward. They look, they say, okay, you have addressed what comment they have. We agree, the reviewer agree, okay, then it is published. It's a much easier process. If you suddenly say, oh, we have decided to add a new sentence, not related to any of the comments, but because we feel maybe it's important, then it would be questionable. Why you did not include this in the beginning? So why, okay, all right. What is the difference between first author and corresponding author? Okay, first author is right in the front. So it will be the first name. That's the first author. Okay, and first author is generally the student. It's generally those doing the majority of the work in terms of the experimental lah. Okay, all right. Corresponding is the person who would reply for any corresponding issues. So for example, if the student goes away and the project is still going on, if they need to refer someone, they will refer that person. So that's why it's generally the supervisor. Okay, so normally the corresponding would be the person who is actively in that research and who is generally the grant holder of that project. Okay, it's generally the corresponding author. So anything regarding further results and so on regarding that particular project, they can go to the corresponding author. So this is why it's important that your supervisor is the corresponding author. If you just put randomly somebody in one of the group member, then it will be very hard for the journal to contact back for anything. You cannot reply, right? So it's very good to have your corresponding author to be someone who was basically the authority of that project. Okay, so normally it's your supervisor. That's quite common. All right, any other questions regarding this? Okay. So Ali did not realize that he was an author of a paper. Is this ethically right or wrong? Ali did not realize he was an author of a paper. Wrong, exactly. Because if he did not realize, right, that means he was not supposed to be there. So it's ethically wrong. Okay, right? So be very careful. Okay, any other ethical issues that you think generally happens? You can safely assume that whatever is not commented or highlighted is already okay in quality, so no need to add inputs here. Thank you, Zamir. Okay, any other ethical issues that you face or you are not sure whether it's ethical or not regarding papers? Because this is something that the editor will look very closely. Okay, if not, I will just proceed to what Elsevier, according to Elsevier, right? 46% of ethics was on plagiarism. So they checked this, huh? They checked this, right? So 46% is on plagiarism, 22% is on duplicate submission. What does that mean? It means you have published elsewhere and then you publish again. Don't think they don't check this. They check this. Okay. 13% was research fraud. It means you are giving false data, okay, false research. Okay. Authorship dispute. Again, corresponding author, first author. Okay, so there's dispute in terms of authorship. Why is this person included, not included? So authorship disputes constitute to 11%. There are cases where supervisors make their mentees write papers to publish, and while the student writes the whole paper, they are not the first author. No, it should be the student. It should be the student, because mentees should be in the middle. If you ask me. Zamir, do you have any comment on this?
Yes, I agree to that. The student has to be the first author. Yep.
So Divinesh.
But I think the story is a little bit different. If for example, if you do your MSc coursework and you run MSc project, and then you get a set of data that can be published, but you are not required to publish, then you have graduated already, and then maybe your supervisor approach you to write the paper to be published because it's part of your work mainly, but you don't want to publish the paper because it's not required after all, and you are not after any merit after the paper, right? So then in that case, your supervisor could be the first author to further improve the paper, add the content, and publish the paper. As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So, but that would not mean you write the paper. But in this case, if you are writing the paper,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you write, then you are the first one. Yep.
Yeah. So the one that drafted the first draft is generally the first author. Okay. Right. I really hope that clarifies, because that is ethics. That's ethics. So I hope you find a solution to that. Okay. All right. Okay. So they verify originality, they use cross-check, they even use, for example, turning in, so they know if you have submitted it elsewhere, confirm it will come out. Okay. So they are very, very strict on this. So if you get rejected straight away, even before the editors were assigned, then that is a sign that there is something very similar to your paper. Either you follow exactly what someone else has done, but you just change the words, or you just change some of the result, but everything, the skeleton is exactly the same, meaning that everything is the same, procedure is the same, even method, everything is the same. So change a bit. You shouldn't copy exactly. Then the chances of rejection is very high. Okay, there must be some novelty in your case that you can highlight, right? Okay, so that's regarding ethics. Okay, maximizing impact. This would be my last section, all right? Okay, creating impact, right? One is to have good pictures or figures, presentation, right? Okay, but let me do this. Now, you see this picture? Okay, I have a picture, a good picture. I mean, this is a picture by Luke Messi from Spain, and he's the winner of Nature Photography of the year 2019. Such a good picture. What can you say about this picture? It's an excellent picture. It won a very prestigious prize. What can you see from this picture? Anyone? Can anyone see anything from this picture? I just want to know your views. No, when you look at the picture, what do you see? First thing, good resolution. Okay, all right. Well, I just see a monkey, but okay. Good resolution. Focusing on what? Zati, focus kat mana tu?
Chain on the monkeys.
Yeah, okay. So you see chains. Okay, someone see chain on the monkeys. What else? Actually, the title of this picture is Lonely. Okay, so do you see or not? None of you said lonely. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, yes, a good picture can create impact. A good picture can create impact, but if you do not have caption that explains the picture specifically, the review can say anything. Okay? Do you understand my point? Having just a good picture but not a good caption is rubbish. Okay? So you need proper caption. Alright? Okay? So you need to have clarity. So for example, this review article, the same review article that I showed before, development and intrinsic measure of nanolasers. First row, dielectric macro disc laser and nano-wire laser. Second row, representative metal-based nano laser. Nampak tak? They're very specific. Unless for something else. So let's say I don't want to be very, I just want to be brief. Development of laser. A is evolution of laser. B is electromagnetic field with respect to space and time. I can just say that, but it's not clear. What is it? So it's very important to be clear, and to be clear about your nice pictures is to have good good caption. Okay, right? It's very important to have a good caption, right? Otherwise, people can interpret so many things. Okay, so clarity is very important in order to maximize the impact of your paper. So it's clear, what you want to say is clear. Okay, right? So that's number one. So if you avoid confusion, misinterpretation, then inshallah you'll be a good one. Right? Okay. Number two. Choosing the right journal. Okay. So this is very important so that you fit in the aim and the scope. And Q factor. So this is something that I said I was going to help look at. But choosing the right journal makes sure that you fit in the aim and scope. So that avoids rejection. Another factor is Q factor, right? And we get this from JCR, right? Journal citation. R is what? Report, journal citation report, right? And you can also get from Scopus letters. But Scopus, you don't really have a proper Q factor, okay? So the database of Q factor is from the ISR, right? Okay, now, one way of choosing the right journal, okay, this is one tip that you can use to look at your reference. So when you write your paper, you have the reference that you look at to refer regarding clarification of your result, regarding your method, and regarding your introduction of the problem statement and so on. So look at where you would mostly cite. Okay, so this would increase your chances of publishing with that journal, because if you publish somewhere that you have included a reference in your paper, or if you are targeting a certain journal, then make sure you include some of that journal inside your reference, because that would increase the citation index for them. All right, so chances of you being accepted would be a bit higher. Okay, I'm not saying that it will be accepted, but I'm saying that that is one way to look. Okay, look at your reference. So for example, in this paper actually published in Advanced Material Technology. So they have in their reference list something from Advanced Material Technology. Okay, it also shows, okay, so one is for you to target a journal, but whatever you have in your reference shows that where your work fits in. Okay, the reason you refer to these references is because they fit in your scope. So it shows that your scope actually fit in with those journals. Okay, you get what I mean, right? So that would help you. So if you ask me, I would always go back to what my references are. Okay, right? So secondly, you list down. So you list down the number of journals from here. Okay, and then you choose which is good for you. So in order to choose, we always go by, to choose a good journal, you need to go and check the GCR, Journal Citation Report. So to do this, because you are mostly working from home, you may not have direct connection to the USM internet. So you can go to openathens.net, all right, log into my Athens, okay, and then put in your username and password. Okay, so put in your username and password for your USM email, okay, Campus Online. Now, under all resources, you go down and you see Journal Citation Report. Okay, click that, right? And then you can log into directly into JCR, and you can write down whatever journal that you want to target, right? So an example, let's say I put optic. Okay, it comes out, right? If it doesn't come out, for example, semi-optic, no result. That means it is not under ISI. That means it's non-ISI, right? So if it is ISI papers, then it will come out. Okay, so you know that journal probably shouldn't send to. Okay, so for example, I have your optic. Now it will come out as a pop-up blocker. So make sure you enable pop-ups, right? Now, as Dr. Zamir has mentioned, you have the citation, right? You have the impact factor, but you can also look at the quota. So this is under rank. So you click rank and it will come out Q2, Q3, or Q4. So you look at the latest 2019 Q2. So this paper is a Q2, right? Which is a good paper. So you can send it here. Okay, this change every year, but generally it doesn't change much. Okay, all right, let's go back to my slide. All right, okay, so I've included here, right, how to log into and type the journal you're interested in. Okay, all right, so remember to enable pop-up in order for you to find Q factor and so on. Okay, third one, consistent author name. So make sure in every paper you have the same name that you put on. Okay, for example, me, one Maryam. So if I put W Maryam, then all my other papers have to be W Maryam. If I put one M in one paper, W Maryam in another paper, then it's not consistent. And so it's very hard for you to publish in good journals, because the moment they see where have you published before, it's very hard for them to find. Okay, right? Sometimes it's a factor to some very, very high-end journals. Okay, all right. So be consistent for tracking purposes later. Yes. Thank you, Zamir. All right. And lastly, networking. Do collaboration. Do collaboration. Collaboration provides a better perspective of the paper. Okay. So it means that you have discussed with more than one person for that particular paper. Okay. Now, why is it important for networking? What's the importance of all this, of networking, the importance of clarifying your good pictures, choosing the right journal? Why is it important to create this kind of things, right? What's the importance of it? What do you want to achieve? Okay, now, for me, it's visibility. Visibility creates impact. So if you have collaboration from other institutions, it will be written on the paper, right? Your affiliation. So you have more visibility because you have more people who are in the paper, right? Okay, you have more institutions in the paper. Okay, all right. So the visibility to other institutions and so on, people who already collaborate with that collaborator as well. So they will start to look into what are these other papers that are there. Okay, so visibility will create impact. So it's very important for you to have that visibility, right? Okay, now, final. So I think I've kind of ended. So can we just play this together? Okay, so I will share with you. So you go to kahoot.it. Right? Okay. www.kahoot.it. Okay. www.kahoot.it. Okay. And the game pin is 311052. Okay, any takers? Okay, I see someone for physics. HZ. Okay, I see a few people. Tasha. Ha, who is Ha? Yeah, Asad, I know Asad. FZ. Okay. Anyone else? Any more? Izati, mana Izati? Let's play a game together. Huh? Okay, 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. I will start. Anyone else can still join. You can go to Kahoot.it and put in the game pin. Okay. Ooh. All right. Why publish? Less audience. That shouldn't be why you publish. You want to increase the audience, right? This is something that Dr. Zamir has covered. New knowledge. Yes. Yes, new knowledge. Visibility. Yes. You want to have visibility. Find answers. Not really. You publish because you want to show your answers, not to find it, right? Okay. All right. Dr. Sakina, wait. Is everything okay?
Okay, okay. I just thought that maybe others are still joining. Yeah.
Okay, but
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
okay. All right. Okay. So next. Oh, whoever is physics is leading. Okay. So mostly did well. Okay. All right. Now the question was, what has highest impact? So highest impact is Q1. Okay. ISI has impact, but it's not the highest. And the highest is Q1. All right. Well done. See who's leading. Oh, Atika is leading. Okay. Right. Next. Yes. Rejection because of a weak method. If it's novel, it won't be rejected. Okay. All right. So if it's novel, it should be accepted. Right. Okay. All right. Well done. Kevin is leading, but I see Tasha is getting there. All right. Okay. Oh, well done. Okay, everyone is clear on this. Okay, I don't have to talk anything about this. All right. Okay. Next. Oh, so some people think that you can publish false results. Actually, you cannot. Okay, so if your result is wrong, you shouldn't be publishing. You should only publish correct results. Huh? Okay, so you cannot fake them, right? Okay. Okay. Last question. Choosing the right journal, exactly. You can't just put any picture. You have to put relevant picture. You have to put a picture with a good caption as well. Okay. All right. So that's all from me. So the winner, number 3, HZ. Congratulations. Number 2, Atika. Congratulations. And the winner, Kevin. Okay. All right. So, okay. Congratulations. So that's all from me. Good luck in writing your research. Okay. So I pass back to Dr. Sakina.
Assalamualaikum. Sorry. So, it's nearly 12 p.m. now. Okay, before we end the session, may I know if there is like any question from all of you? From Dr. Zamir and also Dr. If anything that's still not really clear on the side, I'll be checking the chat board, or you can also unmute if you have any further question. Let me check. So I think there is no question. Okay, if there is no question, or if there's, you can also email Dr. Zamir and also Dr. Maryam. Is it okay, Dr. Zamir and Dr. Maryam?
No problem. No
Oh,
problem.
no problem. No problem.
Contact them. You can still meet them as well as school. Okay. Before we end the session, I would like to thank Zamir and Maryam. Honestly, me myself have learned a lot as well. So I just hope that you're not going to get motivated. Sorry, demotivated just in case. It is. Before we end, is it okay if we take together and we can photo together before we end the session?
Yeah, let's do it.
It looks like only 3 of us.
Yeah, I'm by the beach.
I'm by the hole in the back. Yeah, more.
Yes, please. Let's have a photo together. Since we cannot have like a real photo, let's just have a virtual photo together.
Come on, guys. On.
Yeah. How about the others? Maybe they are preparing.
Okay, perhaps preparing.
Dr. Maryam did give me slides, so maybe I'll email all of you later on to all the registered emails. Dr. Zamir, would you like to give your handouts as well?
Okay, no problem. I'll email to you.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah,
Maybe...
anyone needs it, they can just use it. It's no problem.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not so sure if still there is others are going to turn on their. Okay. I see more.
Yeah, more coming up.
Yeah. Video admin makeup first. Go on the video. All right. Okay. Can we take a photo now? I'm not so sure about the other. Okay. All right. Smile, everyone. One, two, three. One, two, three. Okay. Right. Okay. That's all from me and also from the speakers. I honestly would like to thank Dr. Zamir and Dr. Maryam, and I hope that all of you will learn their shares. Let's keep on publishing in high impact journals. Okay. All right. We are going to have another session for the postgraduate later on, but if you have like any comments or any sharing, oh sorry, Dr. Maryam asked me to share the feedbacks. Can you actually fill in the feedbacks about the program so that we can improve in the future? Let me share the link. Hopefully this is not the last and the first and the last session for us. I've actually included the link. Can you fill in the form to get the feedbacks for the future program? Please do this kind of sharing game. Yeah. Hopefully we can have. Honestly, I actually plan to do a lot of things. Even me myself as supervisor, I think I've neglected my postgraduate students so much. So that's why I'm coming up with this as well. So hopefully we can have more. If you have any suggestion, you can actually let me know how we can get the recorded workshops. Okay, Dr. Maryam and Dr. Zamir, I actually record the session. Do you mind if I post the video, the recorded video in YouTube, in medical physics YouTube?
YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so medical physics have their own YouTube, so I plan to actually like upload the recording so that we can actually review it again later.
Fine with me.
Okay, all right. So I will email you once I've uploaded in the YouTube. So those who's actually have registered, so I will email you the handouts together with the link for the YouTube once I've uploaded in the YouTube. Okay, so that you can review it again. All right, I think that's all from me. Please fill in the form. Hopefully we can have more in the future. If you have any, how do I say, planned or anything that you think that we can do it together, please feel free to email me. I would like to encourage all of us to get it together because I mean, like I've gone through the postgraduate journeys to myself, so I know how lonely it is. I'm not sure about other students, but to me, I feel like it's very lonely. So we need like a team since all of us come from School of Physics. So hopefully that we can actually walk this path together. All right. Okay. All the best to all of you. I'll end the session today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye everyone.
Salam. All the best to all. Bye bye. Take care. Stay safe.